Hey guys, welcome back. So I'm really excited to be filming this video. I've been wanting to do this for a couple of weeks now, but it is very tough having a new baby and also breastfeeding because you've just got to try and juggle everything within the short space of time that you have before they want feeding again. And Olivier is a very hungry boy. He feeds almost on the hour and he has a lot, so it's not like he's just having a little bit and then, you know, just falling asleep. He's awake, he's alert, he's playing, and then he kind of wants some more. So, you know, I am just feeding all of the time, but Richard has him now. So I'm going to talk about the labour. A few of you guys have asked me for this over on my Instagram, and also for my postpartum videos. I'll probably put those on my family vlogging channel just because I don't want to put everything on here. I am excited still to be doing a lot of beauty and fashion. I have a lot of ideas in my mind, like style videos, lifestyle, and if I just put everything to do with family, baby, postpartum, all that on here, then it doesn't leave much room for me to be able to do the stuff that this channel was kind of started for. So before I go into the labour, I just want to introduce Olivier to you guys. So here he is, Olivier James Offiong. I gave him his middle name after my granda, and he was born 8 pound 1, very, very healthy, so I feel incredibly blessed. As you can see, he's got a whole mop of hair. He's feeding at the moment, but you can expect to see more of Olivier and us as a family over on our vlogging channel. So let's get into the labour. So talking about the labour, basically on my due date, the midwife came, and if you show no signs of going into labour by your due date, they offer you a sweep. So it sounds worse than what it actually is. It's the whole like thought of what's going on which is worse than the procedure. It's kind of like a smear but not as bad. Feeling wise, like it's not as kind of uncomfortable as a smear, but it's just like not nice basically. And the midwife has to like sweep around your cervix, I think it is, just to start things off, to see if it can start, you know, labour off basically. I think what they do is they unsettle the membrane, which can start the whole labour process. Now, of course, at first I was like, no, I don't want to have it done. I don't know why I was just being such a baby. I was like, no. And then I decided, I was like, oh, go on then. So she had a look and she said that it was too posterior. So that means it was at the back and she couldn't reach it. So she says, right, I can't do the sweep, so I'm going to have to book you in for an induction, which of course I nearly burst out crying. I waited until she went and I cried my eyes out. And the thing is, I hadn't really read up on it. I hadn't read up much about it. I just heard a lot of stories, and this is why you shouldn't listen to what people say when it comes to labour and stuff like that, because every experience is completely different. How someone feels is not how you're going to feel. You can take certain things from what people say, like advice, but when it comes to them saying, oh, it's this painful and that'll happen and oh God, you'll have that, don't let people scaremonger you. That's the worst thing. You are in control. That's what I want to get across. If you take anything from this video, it's that, you know, your body is doing the best it can, and if you need help, then take the help. There's nothing bad about taking help, whether it's pain relief, whether it's, you know, you have to have a cesarean to save yours and your baby's life, then there's no harm in that. It's just you're doing your best, and don't be scared because your body can do this. Basically, it can do it whether you need the help or not. So 7 o'clock came and we were at the hospital. They let you just get comfortable in your bed, and then the first thing they did is put the scan on me just to the monitor, sorry, just to monitor how things were going, if I was getting any contractions at all, just to make sure the heartbeat of the baby was okay. So at 9:30 the midwife came to do an internal examination. I've just said interior like some kind of designer. An internal examination just to check that everything was okay for her to be able to start off the induction. The first part of an induction that they'll try is like a serum. It's called prostaglandin, I think it's pronounced. And it's like a synthetic hormone, and it's similar to what would happen, a hormone that would happen naturally. It kind of kick things off. So to be able to do that, your cervix has to be forward so that they can reach it to put the gel on. And I was pooping myself because obviously when the other midwife came, she said it was too far back to reach, and I was like, oh god, this isn't going to work. But she managed to do it, and basically what they said is they put the gel on and then you wait 6 hours. If nothing's happened, they'll put another lot on and you wait another 6 hours. If nothing happens after those 12 hours, which by the way you have to stay in hospital for, but you can walk around, you can go to the hospital cafe and stuff. If nothing's happened within those 12 hours, then you go on to the IV drip, which is a hormone that they put in through your vein, basically. So after she put that on, the monitor went back on just so that they can check that the baby's okay and still, you know, comfortable and not distressed anyway by having things in there internally. She said she could feel the head very low with the water around it, which I was like, wow. I kind of wish that I could feel it myself, but then that would be so weird. She says, I'm going to leave the monitor on you for a little bit and then see if everything's working. If not, you can go for a walk and come back later on, which I didn't want to do. I just wanted things to get cracking, basically. So she said the likelihood of it working after one wasn't very high, but she says since I've already had a baby before, it might work. She says, I don't know though. So she didn't have like high hopes, but she was positive. She was a really, really good midwife. I'd forgotten her name, Richard might know, but and she was just so lovely and so calm. I love her, basically. She was so nice. So bloody an hour later, 10:30, the cramps started. I was like, what? And it was like a very intense period pain that had just kind of come on like that. And I felt very, very uncomfortable. And we filmed this live for the vlog channel, which you can see my water birth, the whole thing over on there. Basically, it started so quick and I wasn't expecting it. So I was getting these very like intense cramps and it was going across my back. So I had to ask for a heat pack. I was like, listen, I don't want to be a pain, but I'm really uncomfortable. Can I have something for my back? So they gave me a heat pack. It really worked. It was great. And then they started getting more and more intense and I could see on the monitor that it was going up, but it wasn't spiking high like it was before when I wasn't really feeling it. It was staying around 20 and then going down and then coming up and going down, and I was like, oh, I'm in labour. And I started like getting excited, sweating, I was nervous, I just felt so many emotions in one go. So the cramp pain started to intensify and I was given some paracetamol just to help things take the edge off, which it did do. By 12:30 the midwife came back, did an examination, and she said something like I was only a centimetre, and I thought, are you kidding me? A centimetre? This is painful. It is like a horrible period. Surely I'm not 1 centimetre. I exaggerate, it's a bit worse than a period. But I thought, I'm only 1 centimetre. How long is this going to take? And I was just lying in bed just thinking, right, okay, we're going to get up and we're going to take our mind off it. So I was pacing around the room and they started to get more and more intense with the strength and everything like that. And it felt like I needed a poo, basically. But it's like you can't go, you need one, but you can't go, and you try and go to the toilet and it's like, it's a very weird thing to explain. I can't really explain. It's like someone's stopping you from going to the toilet, but you're desperate to go. So because the gel has to be left on 6 hours, they won't actually do anything beforehand unless you're really physically showing signs of the baby coming. So I was going to have to wait till 2 p.m. Now, at lunchtime they came, they offered me some food which I couldn't eat because I felt very, very sick. Because the pain was really strong at this point, she gave me some codeine, which is a stronger painkiller. I had that and I felt very nauseous, and I actually vomited, and I vomited the codeine, so that basically came out of my system, and things just progressed from there really. So I persevered for an hour and it got to 1:30, and at this point I really was wanting something more than paracetamol, but I was so bloody determined that I wasn't going to have an epidural. Why? Because I wanted a water birth, and they said that if I have an epidural then I don't think you're allowed a water birth. It got to 1:30 and I felt like I couldn't take the pain without anything anymore, so I pressed the buzzer and the midwife came. She says, I'm going to do an internal, check that, you know, the baby's not actually here, see how far you are, how many centimetres you're dilated. So she checked and I was 5 centimetres, which I think normally around 8 you might go down. When I went into hospital with Andre, I was already 8 centimetres, so I kind of went in with Andre and then went straight to delivery. This time I was like 5 centimetres, oh my god, it's so big but yet so small. So she says you're gonna have to wait till 2 o'clock, but we'll book you in. So anyways, 20 minutes came, 1:50, I was like, nah, honest to God, I don't know what's happening. So because I wasn't breathing properly, I wasn't doing the, you know, very deep inhale, let your body get the oxygen. I was kind of doing this thing. My body wasn't getting enough oxygen, and what happened is my hands clamped and they went like this, and I was like, I was saying to her, I was going, there's something happening with my arms, there's something happening with my arms, and like she was trying to check my arms, and it was like they were fusing, my hands and arms were fusing together and like locking, and it was the tension and everything like that. My muscles were going into a very strong spasm. Richard tried to peel my hands open, it was like I was doing the he tried to prise them open and he couldn't. He was like, it's Carly, I don't know what's going on. It was like I had some Gorilla super glue or something on there, and it was very frightening, I will admit that, and that was all because I wasn't breathing properly, and I knew in my heart I wasn't breathing properly, but I just couldn't get that deep breath to kickstart those. So what I would suggest is really concentrate on your breathing from the early parts of labour and try and continue that through a rhythm. I was doing that at first when I was like lying on the bed. You'll see it in the video. I was lying, kind of resting on the bed on the exercise ball with my head down, and in my head I was doing the whole breathing and getting into a rhythm with my body. But then as I laid down and I was slightly compressed, I wasn't getting that deep inhalation, and it was making me have shorter breaths, and that's what started the cramps. And because then I was concentrating on my hands and not what was going on, I was panicking, and it was making me have even shorter breaths. So they sat me up and they put me into a wheelchair, and they sent me straight down to delivery. And as I was going down into delivery, they were saying, come on, like really concentrate. So I was like thinking to myself, okay, forget what's happening with your crab hands and start thinking of breathing. And it was so difficult to switch off from thinking, God, people are looking at us being wheeled down with my dressing gown hanging open, and me in a wheelchair like this. I've got to try and close my eyes and block everything out and concentrate on a breathing strategy. And as I did, my hands started to open up. So if that happens to you, then make sure you get those deep breaths, because one of the midwives had never seen that before. So like, ting, look at me, I'm almost meditating but I'm in serious pain. So make sure you get your breathing right. So when I got down to delivery, they like have a look at you. They said, do you want to get on the bed, do you want to stand up, what do you want to do? Because at this point it was starting to progress very quickly. I was resting on the bed, and then all of a sudden, this was in minutes of getting into the delivery room, resting on the bed, and then my stomach just went and I went, oh my God, what is that? And I was like, oh my God, I'm pushing. And then I want to talk about something that is slightly more graphic, but it's not like horrible. But all of a sudden I felt like it gushed down my leg, and I thought, oh, the waters have broke. It is, I am fully in labour now, established I think they call it. And I looked down and it was blood like pouring down my leg, and I freaked out. I looked at the midwives, they weren't bothered. So I thought, right, okay, this is normal, because if this was abnormal, then they would be seriously like, call a doctor. Like, you know, it would be mayhem. But they were just chilled. They said to Richard, they're like, it's fine. And they said, should we start the water pool now? And I was like, yes, please. So they ran the pool, put me down the wheelchair, and they took me along straight away. And as soon as I got into that water pool, like the pain relief wasn't as bad. So it's the warm water. One, it supports your back. It like takes that cramping away from your back. The buoyancy and everything helps with your bump. Now I'm not going to say it's a miracle worker. It's not like some kind of pain relief, probably like an epidural is, where you just don't really feel a lot. It was just a lot more comfortable. So I was in the water for maybe an hour or so before, or even less, before Olivier was born. And it was very comfortable. I was just pushing all the way through. I was listening to my body. Every time I needed a contraction, I could feel the heightening sensation. Then I'd push with it. When it stopped, like I stopped to have breaths. And he was born like just super naturally and easily. And I also want to say that I've delivered both like in a pool now and out of a pool, and I would say it's less painful, the crowning of the head, when you're in the pool. It's not as, you don't feel the burning sensation as much when you're in water, obviously. I think it just softens everything and just makes it a lot more smoother. So I would definitely suggest that if you're looking for something a little bit more natural, and if you can have a water birth, then definitely have one, because it was just a much better sensation than being out of the pool. And once his head was crowning and his head and shoulders were out, and I like delivered the rest and then delivered the placenta, you can basically get out of the pool and get onto the bed, and they'll put your baby straight onto your chest, so that, you know, you can establish breastfeeding and get that skin to skin contact. So he was delivered at 3:30. I think I've put like 3:15 on my tweet, my pinned tweet, because Richard told me it was 3:15, but on my notes it's actually 3:30. So basically, from them putting the cream on, the gel on, the prostaglandin, to me giving birth, delivering Olivier, was about 6 hours or so, maybe 6.5. So very happy with how it went. At one stage I did think that I was going to have the IV. If you have the IV, you can't go in the pool, I don't think, which is, it is quite unfortunate, because the pool is a lovely way to deliver your baby, but you know, if you have to have that, then that's just the way it goes. And I would say from all of this that if it doesn't go to plan, then it's not the end of the world. And that's what I was kind of working myself up about, because I was thinking it isn't going to go to my plan, and it might not. Basically, I was thinking that I was going to have the IV on the night before I had the induction, so I was gearing myself up for not getting my water birth, and I did get it, so you never know what might happen. I didn't tear, so I didn't need stitches. That's another benefit of the water pool, but saying that, I didn't tear or need stitches or need cut with Andre either. That is my story, and that is how it went. And if you want to see the birth, I've kind of watched it once like this, because obviously it's me looking an absolute mess, then you can head over to our vlogging channel. I will put a link to that video below. So hope you found this video useful. Don't be too hard on yourselves, because you're already doing an amazing job as it is. So just enjoy the process basically, and I'll see you guys in my next video.